The supermarket hummed beneath the rain's whisper, aisles shimmering like veins of light. Among the fruit stands, laughter cracked the silence. A young man's pride it showed in his careless tone, his friends cheering his every mock. When the old woman dropped her apple, he kicked it toward her with cruel humor. But the moment her hand touched it, everything stilled. The air thickened, colors dimmed, and a warm pulse of gold spread from her palm. Shelves curved like reflections on water. Her eyes glowed with quiet storms as she spoke, soft, ancient, unafraid. "Mock not the slow," she said, "for time circles back to teach all who forget." The boy's grin faltered. Somewhere in his chest, a buried H stirred. Around them, faint motes of light rose from the floor like fireflies caught between seconds. "Tell me," she asked, voice trembling with eternity, "if you met yourself 50 years from now, would you still laugh?" And as her words hung in the air, the lights blinked once more, revealing the faint outline of a dragon's shadow soaring across the ceiling. Lucas blinked, and the supermarket melted away. He stood alone in an empty field, the rain still falling, but now glittering like shards of glass. In the distance, the dragon's silhouette circled a tower made of clocks. A voice echoed through the storm. "The fruit remembers." He looked down. The apple in his hand burned faintly, showing shifting scenes. His friends older, his mother crying, his own reflection faded. Panic clawed his chest. "Elara!" He shouted, but only the ticking wind replied. From behind the falling rain stepped Elara. She no longer looked frail. The years seemed peeled away. Her shawl flowed like smoke, her pendant blazing. "You touched the seed of time," she said. "Now you will see what cruelty plants." Lucas trembled. Around them, the world rewound, his laughter echoing backward, the apples rolling in reverse. He reached toward her, but his hand passed through light. "Am I dreaming?" "You are remembering," she answered. The storm ceased. Silence pressed heavy. All around, clocks rose from the soil like flowers of brass and glass. Within each, scenes flickered. Moments of kindness had ignored. Faces had forgotten. Each tick is a chance lost or given, Elara sighed. One clock cracked open, revealing his younger self, sharing an apple with his grandmother. The vision hurt. He fell to his knees. "What do you want from me?" "Only that you listen," she replied, and the clocks began to chime together. When the light faded, Lucas found himself back in the supermarket. The apple lay whole in his palm. The laughter of his friends distant, uncertain. Elara stood by the door, eyes gentle once more. "You have seen enough for today," she whispered. "The next choice will write your tomorrow." As she walked into the rain, her reflection lingered a heartbeat too long, an echo of wings unfurling behind her. Lucas pressed the apple to his chest, trembling, the ticking sound still inside him. That night, Lucas couldn't sleep. The apple rested on his desk, its skin still faintly glowing under the lamplight. Every tick of the clock echoed like a heartbeat in the room. He tried to shake off the memory of the old woman's voice, but her words clung to him like smoke. When the apple pulsed again, light spilled from its stem, flooding the walls with shifting images. Streets reversed, people walking backward, stars falling like snow. The glow gathered into a single shape. The dragon, luminous and patient, coiled around the hourglass pendant. Its eyes met his, and he heard her whisper, "Time remembers kindness, and it never forgets cruelty." He reached forward. The world dissolved into sand and wind. The clock on the wall exploded into glittering fragments, each one showing a piece of his life. He wasn't falling. He was being carried somewhere far beyond the night. He landed on a cobblestone street drenched in dawn light. The air smelled of rain and distant bread ovens. This wasn't his town. It was older, gentler, like a memory someone else had dreamed. Children ran past him, their laughter echoing between narrow houses. Then he saw her. Elara, but not as before. Younger, radiant, her shawl clean and blue, her smile full of life. She sold apples from a cart, handing them to villagers who greeted her warmly. Lucas approached, trembling. "You're her," he whispered. Elara turned, her eyes bright but unknowing. "Though I know you, child?" she asked. The dragon's shadow crossed the sky once again. I followed her through the market. The way she smiled, the kindness in her movements. It felt familiar, like watching a song he once knew. She gave an apple to a child who couldn't pay, whispering, "Kindness is a seed time always finds." The words echoed from both past and future. Then the market flickered, freezing mid-motion. The same apple she'd given away reappeared in his hand, glowing once more. A voice from nowhere whispered, "Every act returns. What you give becomes your echo." Lucas looked up, and the younger Elara was gone. Only the hourglass pendant hung from a hook on the cart, the sand within moving upward again. Wind howled. The scene broke apart like shattered glass, and Lucas fell into another vision. This time, a darkened hospital room. Machines beeped softly. On the bed lay his grandmother, frail and peaceful, holding an apple identical to his. He stepped closer, tears burning. "I should visited more," he whispered. From the shadows, Elara's voice replied, "Time doesn't seek regret, Lucas. It seeks understanding." He knelt by the bed, the apple pulsing gently in his hand. When he blinked, she was gone, replaced by his reflection, older, alone, clutching the same fruit. He awoke beneath the supermarket lights again. The world was normal, too normal. His friends were gone, the aisles quiet. The apple rested in his palm, still warm. Elara's voice lingered in his mind like a fading melody. "You have seen what was and what could be. Now you must choose what will." Lucas looked toward the door, rain still falling beyond the glass, and for the first time, he didn't fear the reflection waiting there. Only the silence that followed it. He whispered, "I want to make it right." Outside, thunder rolled again, and a faint dragon's roar answered in the distance. Morning light filtered through the supermarket windows. The world had returned to normal, or so it seemed. Yet every reflection Lucas passed shimmered, as if time still watched. Followed a faint sound. Soft metallic ticks from the fruit aisle. There, carved into the floor tiles, was an hourglass symbol glowing faintly gold. He touched it, and warmth spread through his palm. The whisper came again, "Seek the hour that never ends." Startled, he looked up to find a note hanging from the ceiling vent. It was written in looping handwriting he somehow recognized. Where the first seed fell. He remembered the field from his vision. the place where the dragon circled the tower of clocks. Something deep inside him stirred. Destiny was no longer distant. It breathed behind him like wind before a storm. He found the field again that afternoon, though it looked different now, quieter, older, as if the world had forgotten it. The grass swayed under a cloudy sky, and in the distance stood the remnants of a stone well covered in vines. Lucas stepped closer. The earth beneath his shoes pulsed faintly. He knelt beside the well, tracing runes carved into the stone. They matched the glow he'd seen on Ilara's hand. As he touched them, the wind rose, and voices echoed from below. Hundreds, maybe thousands, all murmuring fragments of time. The apple he carried vibrated in his pocket. When he took it out, light burst upward, revealing Ilara's shape within the mist. "Why show me all this?" he asked. Her answer came like thunder. "Because you are the last keeper of what I began." The ground trembled. The well cracked open, spilling beams of light that formed images above it. Moments from Ilara's life. Her kindness replayed again and again. Feeding the poor, mending broken hearts, forgiving those who mock error. Each memory circled the sky like constellations made of mercy. Lucas shielded his eyes. "You were the guardian," he murmured. Ilara's image smiled through the glow. "And you were the one who must remember." The dragon emerged again, not of fire this time, but of shimmering light and gentle breath. It hovered before Lucas, its eyes full of eternity. Every act of cruelty must be undone with compassion. Ilara's voice whispered through the wind. Lucas reached forward, unafraid. The dragon lowered its head, and for the first time he touched its scales, warm as sunlight, pulsing with the rhythm of time itself. The dragon's breath enveloped Lucas, warm and weightless. Within that golden wind, he saw not destruction but renewal, fields blooming, rivers reversing their course, lost moments returning like migrating birds. Ilara's voice echoed through the shimmer. "Every dragon is born from a human heart that remembered kindness." Lucas felt his chest tight. He thought of his mockery, his indifference, the moments he could have chosen mercy, but didn't. The dragon leaned closer, its massive eye reflecting his trembling face. "Then, you're part of me," he whispered. The creature's pupils shifted, mirroring his own. "And you of me?" it replied through the wind, words unspoken yet clear. Then, from the horizon, the sound of clocks began, thousands ticking in harmony, forming a melody that shook the sky. The hourglass symbol ignited on his palm. He understood now. Compassion itself was the magic Ilara had guarded all her life. The dragon began to fade, dissolving into a shower of embers that drifted upward like reversed snowfall. The field quieted, even the wind held its breath. In the lingering light, Ilara's form appeared one final time. "The world forgets kindness quickly," she said softly, "but if one heart remembers, the balance endures." Lucas bowed his head. "How do I begin?" She smiled. "By forgiving yourself." The embers circled him, merging into the glowing apple that still rested in his hand. He felt its pulse slow until it beat in rhythm with his own heart. The vision dimmed, the dragon's echo fading into silence. When he opened his eyes, he stood once more in the quiet supermarket. The fruit aisle was empty, but the golden hourglass still shimmered faintly on the floor. He smiled, not in pride but in peace. The journey had only begun. The next morning felt heavier, as if the air itself remembered. Lucas walked through the streets of his town, everything too bright, too fragile. Every sound, the chatter of neighbors, the rustle of leaves, seemed to echo with the rhythm of a ticking clock. He saw the cashier from the supermarket helping an elderly man load groceries into a car. Once, it might have passed without noticing. Now, he stopped and helped. The man smiled, surprised. "Thank you, son." The words struck deeper than he expected. Kindness felt unfamiliar on his tongue, but right in his chest. As Lucas turned to leave, he saw a shimmer on the pavement, an hourglass of light that vanished when he blinked. The dragon was watching, he knew. Elara's whisper returned. Each act of mercy bends the hourglass toward light. At school, Lucas faced the first real test. Diego and Marina still laughed about the crazy old woman. Their jokes burned like sparks in his ears. He wanted to shout, to make them see what it seemed. Instead, he spoke quietly. "You don't know her story," he said. They paused, uneasy. "She was teaching us something." Diego rolled his eyes. Marina frowned. "You sound weird, man." But Lucas held his ground. Maybe weird is better than cruel. The words hung between them. For the first time, silence replaced laughter. He walked away, heart pounding, but lighter. Outside, wind carried a faint chime, like sand sliding through an invisible hourglass. That afternoon, Lucas visited his grandmother's grave, the one he had ignored for too long. He knelt in the grass, the apple still glowing faintly in his hands. "I think I understand now," he murmured. The wind rustled softly, and petals fell from a nearby tree, swirling around him. For the first time, he didn't ask for forgiveness. He offered it. "I forgive myself for forgetting how to care." A single ray of sunlight broke through the clouds, resting on the gravestone. In that light, he thought he saw Elara's reflection smiling beside his grandmother's name. The dragon's roar echoed faintly across the horizon, not in fury, but pride. Night fell quietly. Lucas sat in his room, writing everything he remembered. The light, the voices, the dragon, Elara's words. Each line felt like stitching torn fabric back together. A placed the notebook on his windowsill. Outside, the sky shimmered with faint auroras. Suddenly, the apple pulsed again, splitting open with a beam of golden mist that drifted upward. Inside floated Elara's hourglass pendant. Her voice filled the room. "The keeper of time is not chosen by power, but by compassion." Lucas took the pendant gently. The sand within reversed once more, glowing brighter. He whispered, I'll keep it safe." Before dawn, Lucas walked to the hill overlooking town. The first light of morning stretched across rooftops like forgiveness itself. He raised the pendant. Its glow merged with the sunrise until the hourglass turned transparent, its sand at peace. Behind him, a shadow of vast wings rippled through the sky, the dragon's farewell. Elara's final. Whisper drifted through the wind. The world remembers through you. He smiled, closing his fist gently around the pendant. The rain began again, soft and cleansing. Each drop felt like a heartbeat of time restored, and somewhere beyond the clouds, the dragon of time breathed once more. Lucas woke to a strange stillness. The pendant on his chest glowed faintly, casting ripples of light across the walls. Outside, Time itself seemed to hold its breath. The wind paused, birds suspended mid-flight. He stepped into the street and saw the world frozen in quiet beauty. Only the pendant moved, its sand shifting upward, urging him somewhere unseen. He followed its pull to a nearby park. Children stood mid-laughter, their soap bubbles motionless in the air. At the fountain's edge sat a small boy, frozen mid-tear. Lucas knelt, understanding without words. This was the first life he had to mend. He touched the boy's shoulder, and the world exhaled. Water moved again, birds sang, and time resumed its rhythm. The boy blinked, then smiled, his sadness gone. Lucas whispered. One moment restored. As the boy ran off laughing, Lucas felt the pendant grow warmer. He looked down and saw new symbols etching themselves into the glass, spirals, like ripples on water. The whispers returned, countless voices speaking as one. The world heals through hands that remember. He turned and saw a woman sitting on a bench, clutching a faded photograph. Her expression carried the weight of 1,000 unspoken goodbyes. Lucas approached slowly. "May I see?" he asked. She nodded. The photo showed her younger self with a man, both smiling in the same park. "He was my husband," she said softly. "He never came back from the storm." Lucas felt time twist around them. He placed the pendant between their hands, and for a heartbeat, the air shimmered. In her eyes, tears became light. For that single moment, she saw him again, alive, smiling in memory restored. The wind shifted again, and Lucas felt the pendant tug toward the old part of town. There, outside a weathered bookstore, he saw Rosa, the supermarket cashier, kneeling beside a stray dog limping across the cobblestones. She sighed, whispering, "If I had more time." Those words echoed the same Lucas once knew. He knelt beside her. "Maybe you do," he said. The pendant glowed, and time around them softened like a slow heartbeat. The dog's trembling steadied. Its fur shimmered briefly with light. Rosa gasped as the creature stood, tail wagging weakly, then pressed its nose against her hand. Lucas smiled, feeling tears burn behind his eyes. "Every kindness counts," he murmured. Rosa looked at him, bewildered. But something in her eyes hinted she remembered a faint golden hourglass from long ago. Night deepened, clouds reflecting city light, like embers in slow motion. Lucas wandered to the riverbank, the pendant faintly pulsing. On the bridge stood Diego, staring into the water. "I messed up, man," he said without turning. "I was cruel, and I can't take it back." Lucas stepped closer. "Neither could I, until someone showed me how." He held out the pendant, and its glow mirrored in Diego's tears. The air trembled. In the river's reflection, Lucas saw them both, not as they were, but as they could be, kinder, older, standing side by side years later, laughing beneath the same bridge. The vision faded, but Diego's voice was steady. "You changed." Lucas smiled softly. "So can you." As dawn approached, Lucas returned to the hill overlooking the town. The dragon's shadow reappeared across the clouds. Vast, calm, watchful. He raised the pendant once more, now filled with still, golden sand. Elara's voice drifted, like wind, through sunlight. "You have remembered what we forgot. The keeper's heartbeats were mercy lives." Lucas breathed deeply, the weight of guilt replaced by peace. He understood now that the pendant was never power. It was a reminder that time itself bends to compassion. The dragon bowed its head once, dissolving into the morning sky. Lucas closed his hand around the pendant, feeling its warmth fade into his heartbeat. The hourglass within him was full again. He smiled. "Thank you, Ilara." Weeks passed, yet the world hummed with quiet change. People smiled more. Strangers paused to help one another. Lucas noticed subtle glows in reflections. Tiny hourglasses flickering in windows, puddles, even eyes. Time itself was breathing easier. Still, each night, he dreamt of the dragon circling above clouds of light, whispering, "The balance spreads, but never stays." One afternoon, the pendant warmed again, heavier than before. When he looked through its glass, he saw faces, new ones, calling for help across moments not yet born. His task wasn't over. Compassion, he realized, was endless work. The first ripple found him at the train station. A young mother struggled with luggage and a crying child. Everyone looked away. Lucas stepped forward, lifting the bags and smiling gently. When she met his eyes, the pendant brightened. For a heartbeat, time slowed. The crowd frozen, the air glowing. In that stillness, he saw faint wings spread from every person nearby, woven of light. When motion returned, the woman whispered, "You made the day easier." Lucas walked on, heart steady. Each act was small, but together they rewrote time's rhythm. That night, Lucas dreamed of Ilara walking through an endless corridor of mirrors. "Time mirrors hearts," she said. Touching one, it rippled to show people he had never met. Students helping each other. A nurse holding a stranger's hand. An old man smiling after years of silence. "These are your echoes," she told him. He wanted to thank her, but she faded into light, leaving only the whisper. "Guard the echoes, they guard you." He woke with tears on his cheeks, the pendant cool and calm, as though it had listened to. A storm rolled over the town. Lightning flashed, thunder echoing like roaring clocks. Lucas ran to the hill where the dragon had last appeared. Rain soaked him, yet he held the pendant high. "If the balance breaks again," he shouted, "I'll still keep watch." The clouds parted. From their depths, the dragon's outline shimmered, vast, luminous, serene. Its voice rolled through the storm. "Then you have learned the final truth. The keeper is not chosen once, but forever." Wind circled him, fierce yet kind. The storm began to calm. At sunrise, the world felt new. Lucas sat beside the quiet fountain where everything began. The water mirrored his reflection. Older, wiser, peaceful, he placed the pendant on the stone edge. Its sand glowed once, then stilled. He smiled, knowing it no longer needed to guide him. The lesson lived in every heartbeat. In the reflection behind him shimmered faint golden wings, fading into the morning light. Somewhere far away, a dragon exhaled softly, and time continued, gentle and whole. The days that followed felt quieter, yet brighter. Lucas no longer saw the pendant glow, but he sensed its rhythm inside his chest. The supermarket reopened after repairs, its light softer than before. People greeted each other kindly. Even laughter carried a gentler tone. When Lucas walked through the aisles, he felt Ilara's presence in every reflection, her memory stitched into the air. A stopped before the fruit display, the same place where everything began. A single apple gleamed beneath, the lights, its skin tinted faintly gold. He picked it up, smiling. "Full circle," he whispered. Somewhere above, faint thunder rolled like a heartbeat. That night, Lucas dreamt of the hill bathed in twilight. The dragon appeared one final time, its wings folding gently. "You have done well, keeper," it said, voice like wind over water. "But remember, time bends only through hearts that forgive." Ilara's figure emerged beside it, eyes serene. "The world is lighter now," she said, "because one boy remembered mercy." Lucas bowed his head. "What happens now?" Ilara smiled. "Now you live." The dragon lowered its head, exhaling a final breath of golden mist that swirled around them both, then vanished into dawn. Lucas awoke with tears on his cheeks and sunlight across his bed. Outside, the town shimmered with early morning light. Birds flew in slow arcs, as though savoring each second. I noticed people helping one another. Simple gestures, small as miles. The air felt balanced. The clock of the world ticking gently again. He touched his chest where the pendant once hung. No light, no. Yet, inside him, something continued to glow quietly. The echo of Ilara's lessons, the promise of time's mercy. Later, Lucas returned to the park. Children played near the fountain, their laughter echoing in circles. He saw the old woman's bench still there, empty yet somehow alive with presence. A placed the golden apple on it. "For whoever needs a second chance," he said softly. A gust of wind brushed past, carrying faint laughter, not mockery, but joy. When he turned away, he thought he saw a flicker of blue shawl between the trees. As the sun set, Lucas stood atop the hill once more. The sky burned with hues of fire and gold. "What if the dragon you fear is the one meant to save you?" he whispered. "Then maybe every heart hides a dragon waiting to wake." He closed his eyes. The wind swelled, and for a breath, he heard the rustle of enormous wings above him. Then silence. Pure. The boy who once mocked kindness had become its keeper, and time, at last, moved forward without sorrow.